ladies and gentlemen, what is up? Welcome to the first lecture on blood vessels. We know blood vessels are the pipes that carry the blood, thanks to the pumping action, the pressure generated by the heart. So what we got to do today is introduce ourselves to the anatomy of these vessels. It'll be fun. It'll be funny. It might be both. It might be neither, actually. We'll see. But we're going to start with the most basic of blood vessels, the arteries. Alright, we already know arteries are so defined by their direction. All arteries take blood away from the heart. Typically, they branch as they go farther and farther from the heart. They branch, so we start with big arteries, for example, the aorta, pulmonary trunk, and they branch. Give us medium, small, smaller arteries. Alright, that's the general plan. Arteries diverge. Most arteries are going to be oxygenated. In this picture alone, I can see all these little nice red coronary arteries on this cat heart here. But I do see an exceptional artery here as well. This guy right here with the yellow star upon him, that is an exceptional artery. He is the pulmonary artery. He's unique in that he is not oxygenated. He's deoxygenated. Another unique artery are the umbilical arteries, which are deoxygenated as well, as they pump blood to the placenta where gas exchange can happen for the fetus. Alright, what about veins? I mean capillaries. I'm excited, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Capillaries, the word literally means small hair, to introduce the smallness of their size. They are tiny. They're so tiny. They're so little. And like is often the case, whenever we have little things, we have a lot of them. They are the smallest and thus the most abundant of the blood vessels. There are probably 10 billion in your body right now. And the thing is, this gives us a huge surface area where we can do exchange between the blood and the tissue fluid. And that is the big job of the capillaries, to exchange gases, heat, water, nutrients, wastes, signaling molecules, electrolytes, etc. All those things get exchanged between blood and tissue fluid at capillaries. Now, veins. Veins are defined by the fact that they go towards the heart. They bring blood back to the heart. See the superior vena cava right there, the inferior vena cava right there. Those are some typical veins. Veins generally converge as they near the heart. Small begets medium, which begets big, and bigger and biggest. Most of our veins, like the vena cava, like the coronary veins we see here in the little coronary sinus, most of them are deoxygenated. And we have some exceptional ones. The pulmonary veins are exceptional in that they're oxygenated, and the umbilical veins as well. All right, good start. Let's keep going. When we look at blood vessels, all right, so a blood vessel is a tube. It has an opening in the middle, right, a space, which is called the lumen, and the wall of the vessel surrounds that space. The wall of the blood vessel is generally divided into 3 layers. The layers are called tunics as well. So notice the word tunica in each of these names. The innermost layer, the lining, the one adjacent to the blood, is the tunica interna, also known as the tunica intima. Interna, inside, intima, intimate, makes sense. Then the middle one is the tunica media. Media means middle. And the outer one is the tunica externa, aka the tunica adventitia. If you were adventurous, you'd be on the outside, right? Not on the inside. All right, let's look at these guys in detail. So we start out with the tunica interna / intima. There it is right there. Look at its waviness. Let's expand a little bit. It consists of 2 main things. All right, the endothelium, which is basically the word for the simple squamous epithelium of the blood vessel lining. And that was really loud if you heard that noise. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. We'll see. My computer made a noise. Totally messed me up. Where was I? Tunica intima. Interna, endothelium, simple squamous epithelium lining the blood vessel wall. Now, this simple squamous endothelium is continuous with the simple squamous lining of the heart chambers, which we already met, which was the endocardium. Okay, underneath, and we can't really see it at this magnification, but underneath the epithelium here, underneath the simple squamous cells, is a layer of supportive areolar connective tissue. Think fondly back to A&P1. You met areolar connective tissue. You know it underlies all epithelia. All right, one quick point. When we look at our capillaries, the smallest of blood vessels, they're so small, they don't get all three layers. They only get one layer, and that is it. They only get the tunica interna. Okay, next layer. The tunica media. Look at this big tunica media right here. This big pink tunica media. This is a muscular artery here. Now, mostly the media is smooth muscle. The media is mostly muscle. There are elastic fibers there as well. Remember what elasticity means? Elasticity means two things. You can stretch and recoil. Rubber band, elastic. Chewing gum, not so much. Doesn't snap back. You got to have snap back ability to be elastic. So, because of the elasticity and the muscle, it's going to make sense that the tunica media is the most prominent layer in our arteries. Arteries need muscle in order to regulate blood flow. Arteries also have to deal with the pressure changes of the heart, and being elastic helps them do that. All right, onward. Outermost layer. We see it right out here. This layer is often shared between neighboring blood vessels, between a blood vessel and a neighboring nerve or neighboring other structure, because this is just the connective tissue. The tunica externa, or Adventitia, is the connective tissue. Often dense connective tissue, primarily made of collagen. It anchors the blood vessel to its surroundings, to its neighbors. The externa is the most prominent layer in veins. Now, this is not to suggest that the veins need a specially strong anchor. It's really just that the veins aren't that muscular. So kind of like by default, the externa becomes the most prominent layer. All right, let's see what else we can do here. Types of arteries. The major arteries, including the aorta and its big branches, are the elastic arteries. And what we mean by big branches are the carotids, the brachiocephalic, the subclavians, the iliacs. Those are all big branches. Now, elastic arteries stretch and recoil. And what they really are able to do functionally is assist in the movement of blood. In other words, they're acting as auxiliary pumps. If we look at this picture here, look at the top here. At the top, the ventricle is contracting. When the ventricle contracts, blood is forced through the semilunar valve. Some blood goes onward, okay? But it can't all go onward. The vessel, the elastic vessel, in which is receiving blood, gets stretched. And by being stretched with blood, that vessel is storing the pressure generated by the ventricle. It is acting as a pressure reservoir. So what this means is that when the heart is relaxing, like down here, blood flow in the arteries doesn't stop, because while the ventricle relaxes, the elastic arterial wall is recoiling and thus forcing blood onward. So blood flow is continuous, even though the heart's pumping is discontinuous. Write that down. Think about that for a second or two. All right, let's do one more here. One more type of artery, then we'll quit for this presentation. Muscular arteries. They are often very muscular, big tunica media. They're involved in regional distribution. Pretty much any artery that has a name is a muscular artery. All right, see ya later.